day to all, I'm Grayzy and this is Northern Limits Bushcraft and Survival. What I'm here to do now is just go through what my EDC is, my everyday carry. This is always dictated by the weather, the time of year and what kit's available to us at the time, or if I've been set a challenge and I'm only allowed to take certain amounts of bits of kit. Fundamentally what I will always do is I will always follow Dave Canterbury's 10 C's of survivability, which I'll be going through with you shortly. Because that incorporates into my ED. Mentioned, my kit dictates where I am in the world, what the weather's like and what time of year it is. Up in the northwest where I am currently, it's just been doing nothing but dump with rain and it's always wet. I always need that little bit extra warmth. A Bergen, something I would normally carry with us if I'm doing maybe overnight or longer, just purely because I've got a larger sleeping system, so I need a larger load carrier to be able to actually put that into it, along with everything else I need to go into. If it's during the summer, or if I know I'm going to be particularly dry, I might take a smaller DOS bag, sleeping bag that is, or I might even double two of them up together, maybe just a small snug pack, and then maybe just a jungle bag to go with that. But then that will allow me to take a smaller load, maybe it's a day 30 to 40 litres on my back, for example, along with everything else I need to go. So firstly, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you which loads I use, because I've got a few, and then we'll go through there and I'll explain in a little bit more detail what I would carry in each of them loads. So I mentioned before, Dave Canterbury's 10 C's of survivability. There is no right and wrong answer to this. This is just literally your interpretation of it and what you wish to carry. Again, it's all about what you've got available to you. I will always take what I can without burdening my weight. I need to think about where I'm going to go. I also need to think about what my achievements are going to be once I'm out there, and then what I actually have to get to, or if I'm just going to go static and I can afford to take some extra kit. So firstly, number one on the 10 C's of survivability is cutting tool. Arguably one of the most important C's of the 10 C's of survivability laid down by Dave Canterbury is the cutting tool. This is every version of this I've seen, cutting tool's always been at the top, and I totally agree with this, because even just on with a singular blade, there's a lot you can actually achieve in regards to sorting firewood out, shelter building, and cutting up any form of animal or plant to be able to eat to survive on. So first of all, the thing that I will always take with me is, as featured in other videos, the Grayzy Mark 1. Made this one myself. It's high carbon steel, purely because it can strike a ferro rod. It's got a sharp spine on the back, which I do all the striking or rubbing of wood to be able to get some firewood done if it's fat. And then I've got my bevel blade there as well. It's a bit dirty at the minute because I've been using it. Okay, I'm going to be using this from pointer as well. Okay, so what we use is, you don't just have to take the one. Now what you see in front of us is things that I may take with me. I might not necessarily take them all. So I will always have my primary cutting tool, which is the Mark 1. And then I'll have my Decifits as well, meaning more than one. I will always have my saw to cut up more than one log, especially if it's thicker. If I decide not to take that, I may decide to take the axe. Okay, all I've done there is just made my own neck protector out of paracord 550. What that serves as is just in case I need any and I've run out for whatever reason, I can then extract it from there as well. Next, I've got cold steel, American Army blade, okay, seatbelt cutter, glass breaker as well. Okay, I've had this about 5 years and it's been brilliant. It's never failed us. It's still going strong and still incredibly sharp as well. So this will stay in my pocket, or in fact even in my kit, depending on where I decide to put it. But as long as I've got access to a secondary blade, just in case I either break, lose, or I don't need a blade as big as that one as well. Next, my Gerber. As you can see, it's got a smaller blade on this one. Yeah, that's just in case if all goes wrong and I lose everything. And it's always good to have a pair of pliers as well for tightening up cordage. and to lift things that are a bit hot, such as my cooking grate, and it's got a plethora of other tools on it as well. So this will stay in my front pocket on my trousers that I wear. Like I mentioned before, the axe to cut down larger trees, cut down larger logs for firewood, and for splitting firewood as well, or if I need to sharpen any pieces of wood up for any stakes or any tent pegs or of the like that I feel that my knife will either take too long to do or isn't up for the challenge. Next, I've got two instruments here to be able to sharpen my blade. This one, the cold steel, and then the Gerber as well. That's a diamond sharpener. Couple of rubs on that one, it'll get me blade back going again. And then I've got my blade sharpener here, one side being rough tungsten for getting the smooth out blade, and then the other side is ceramic to get that finer blade. Number 2, container. What this is to do, this is to be able to put some water into a container for you to be able to actually take it with you, and for it to be boiled for later if you either A, need to sterilise some water that you've had to pick up from an unknown water source, or just to be able to drink, or even just make a brew. Number 3, combustion tool. Again, it all depends on what works for you. Me personally, I always go for a lighter, first time every time, and then I will always take 2 other forms of ignition. I always take solar, so I always have my lens with us, and I'll always take my ferro rod. If I'm feeling a bit fruity and I want to do some primitive fire making, I'll take my flint and steel as well, along with some char that I've made. Number 4, cordage. This can be anything that you can get your hands on. So whether it be jute string, normal string, paracord, 550 paracord, survival cord. Even if you want to be a little bit more adventurous, use some natural cord as well. That's entirely up to you. As long as you've got enough to either make a guy line. I always personally carry my 25-foot guy line in my pocket, which I'll show you when I get onto my loadout in a minute. Number 5 is cover. What am I going to sleep in? What am I going to sleep on? And what am I going to sleep under? Depending on what my scenario is, I might not have all 3 of them. But if I'm in a controlled environment where I know I'm going to be safe and I know I'm going to be warm, or if I'm even just going to go static, the things I'll take are either a tent, a tarp, or a military poncho. For that, to go in it, I will take my DOS bag, regardless of which one it is, whether it be a larger one to keep us warm, or a summer one, depending on what time of year I'm in, and also my bivvy bag as well to keep us dry, just in case it dumps down and I spring a leak. And then next is what I'm going to sleep on. Now, convection is one of the biggest things that will rip your body heat out from underneath you. The ground, which is moist, dirty word, will absorb the heat from your body. So you have to be able to sleep on something that is going to be able to insulate you from that ground, to stop it from sucking all that vital core heat to keep your body warm during the night. So this can be anything from a DOS bag liner, a roll mat, some natural foliage such as ferns, bracken, leaves, or even the bin bag mattress, which I picked up from Sean Kelly from Corporal's Corner. Outstanding bit of ingenuity there. Just an old thick bin liner filled with ferns or leaves, but we'll get into that shortly. Next, we're going to move on to container. I've got 2 different types here. I've got my German Army mess tin, or billy. This is the main compartment to put my water in it with. I can also cook food in it as well. This was featured in my pilot episode when I was out on that recce, and I made the corned beef campfire stew, which was outstanding. And then you've got the secondary pot that goes with it as well, and then the lid here. Here what we've got is the British Army trip flare container, and all I've done there is emptied everything out. I can put up to 1.5 litres of water in here if I have to. but what it also does, it allows me to have storage space for my gas and my pocket rocket and any rations or any form of food that I want to take with us. I primarily use this one for when I do any form of stealth camp, or if I know I'm going to be cooking more food for one person, or making brews for more than one person as well. Number 3, combustion tool. Again, it all depends on what works for you. Me personally, I always go for a lighter, first time every time, and then I will always take 2 other forms of ignition. I always take solar, so I always have my lens with us, and I'll always take my ferro rod. If I'm feeling a bit fruity and I want to do some primitive fire making, I'll take my flint and steel as well, along with some char that I've made. Here is my ignition tools. On the left hand side, you've got my ferrocerium rod, or the ferro rod, just to get them sparks flying if I'm feeling a bit more adventurous, or if I find a material that I know I'm confidently being able to ignite. Like I mentioned before, my 2 lighters, 3,000 strikes. You also can get the flint one, get 3,000 strikes of these for 1.5 seconds before it runs out of gas, so they say. Obviously it all depends on how long you keep that gas on for, but the only thing is that these are prone to run out of gas and become damaged, and it takes a while for them to get going again whilst wet. And this is where the ferro rod would potentially come in as well. Next, I've got my magnifying lens. This is ×6, at least what you need. Yeah, what that allows me to do is, if I've produced any form of char, or if I've got any char cloth, I can use my ferro rod to strike that, or I can use any form of solar energy to go up against the wind, go up against the sun, sorry, concentrate that beam to then ignite. We've all done it when we were kids with a magnifying glass and the ants and the sun. Yeah, a bit naughty, however, I'm sure we've all done it at some point, or not necessarily ants, just we've got a cordage. The bottom one here, this is my guy line. There is 25 feet of this, and what I've done is I've created a loop at the end of it here, and what it allows me to do is pull that. It's a quick release, and this will just carry on unraveling until I've reached my destination, or I've got the right amount of cordage that I need. And what else you can see here are 3 prusik knots, and what they're used for is being able to attach my tarp to the guy line if that's what I wish to do. So if I'm making a lean-to, or if I'm using an A-frame or any form of other one where it requires the middle, I'll attach the side loops of that tarp to the prusik knots to tighten the whole structure up. Again, learnt this off Sean Kelly from Corpus Corner. It's done as well ever since. And then here I have got 30 meters of cordage. This is paracord 550. Yeah, £550 brake strain. However, after about £300 it will start to stretch, but again, you shouldn't be putting that much load on it anyway, unless you are double hench and have the strength to be able to do so. What this allows me to do is lash anything down or to something. So if I need to make any form of structure, I can secure it in by lashing them together with a paracord, or if I need to put any logs going horizontal across 2 trees to make any form of structure, again I can use diagonal or horizontal lashes with my paracord. I can also use snares with them as well, or using any form of primitive paracord fish. Number 5 is cover. What am I going to sleep in? What am I going to sleep on? And what am I going to sleep under? Depending on what my scenario is, I might not have all 3 of them. But if I'm in a controlled environment where I know I'm going to be safe and I know I'm going to be warm, or if I'm just going to go static, the things I'll take are either a tent, a tarp, or a military poncho. For that, to go in it, I will take my DOS bag, regardless of which one it is, whether it'll be a larger one to keep us warm, or a summer one, depending on what time of year I'm in, and also my bivvy bag as well to keep us dry, just in case it dumps down and I spring a leak. And then next is what I'm going to sleep on. Now, convection is one of the biggest things that will rip your body heat out from underneath you. the ground, which is moist, dirty word, will absorb the heat from your body. So you have to be able to sleep on something that is going to be able to insulate you from that ground, to stop it from sucking all that vital core heat to keep your body warm during the night. So this can be anything from a doss bag liner, a roll mat, some natural foliage such as ferns, bracken, leaves, or even the bin bag mattress, which I picked up from Sean Kelly from Corporal's Corner. Outstanding bit of ingenuity there. Just an old thick bin liner filled with ferns or leaves, but we'll get into that shortly. Where I'm going depends what the fifth C is cover. What you see in front of you now is the 1958 pattern British Army poncho. It's obviously bagged up right now. This is for when I do stealth tarps, so when I go stealth camping. It provides a low profile and it just covers my body for what I need to do and keep it waterproof. It can also double up as my waterproof as well, again depending on how much kit I'm carrying, where I'm going, what I'm doing. I will also take my tarp as well. I've got a 3x3 DD tarp light. That's too big to stick in this frame, but it was featured in my pilot episode, so if you want to have a look at it, please go back and have a look at it on my YouTube channel. For I will have, depending on where I am, what I'm doing, all depend on what doss bag I have, but I will always have my bivvy bag, British Army bivvy bag as well. And then it all depends on the day. I'll either make a trance mattress with black bags, or I will take a roll mat with us as well, if I haven't decided to make my own type of bushcraft bed. It's cargo tape. Two types here, as you can see on the left hand side. Just here we have got fabric based tape, and then on the right we've got plastic based. Okay, the military amongst you will recognise this as black and nasty, and they'll recognise this as more commonly known as sniper tape or CBRN repair tape. In civilian land, duct tape and just fabric tape as well. These can be used for repairing your clothing if you have any burns in them or any wear and tear holes. If you've got any hot rocks that have went through your tent or your tarp or your poncho, you can re-waterproof the holes with the plastic based one. Not necessarily this one, because this is fabric, it will leak through. You can also use them as a fire starter. Just here, you might have noticed before with my lighters, I've got some black and nasty already going around them. There is a video coming out that I've done with the use of this and why I have it on here. Next, what we've got is the cotton needle. This is the sheath for the Grayzy Mark 1 I made myself. As you can see, it carries my ferro rod, but on the side here it's got a large cotton needle. I'll have some thread in with my kit, and then what that will allow me to do is repair any of my clothing or any form of fabric that I need to repair. I can also use as well is the inner strands of paracord to feed through there to act as the thread. Literally what you can see right in front of you, it is cotton bandana or cotton. What you can see in front of you is just a normal schmag. This will be used as part of my warm kit to be able to wrap myself up in when it's cold. What I can also use this for is to put over the container that I wish to drink in and pour some dirty water into it, and then it'll help filter out some of the larger molecules of dirt before it goes in, before I start sterilising it. It can also be used for water collection. I can dump it into a water source, lift it out, and then wring it out into the container that I want to put it into. It can also be used for improvised slings for first aid purposes, because it's large enough. And what I can also do in an emergency, if I have to, cut some of it down and then char it to make char cloth. We'll be doing all of these examples once I'm allowed out, when Boris tells us I'm allowed to after this lockdown. We'll also consider as well, to go with my container part of it for water, is I've got a water filter here. I've also got 12 chlorine tablets, which will do us for 12 litres of water. I've got the cleaning syringe for the filter. I've also got here another cotton bandana, which I can use for that filter as mentioned before. Just carrying another lighter just because I can. So this would accompany my container element. The next C that we've got is compass. As you can see, I've just got a little button compass here, which I normally carry within my kit. All depends where I'm going to go to, depends on what kind I carry. If it's somewhere familiar, I'll only carry this just for emergency purposes. However, if I'm going somewhere unfamiliar and I'll need a map, I will cover my silver compass in another video. And finally, I'm now going to cover the last C, which is candling device. By that, what I mean is any form of instrument or item that causes light, regardless it'll be natural or artificial. In this case, I carry my Highlander head torch, main beam, dim beam, red beam. I will also carry spare batteries to this as well. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that I am right. You can also carry your handheld torch if you wish. We can literally carry candles or lanterns with us. It all depends what kind of bushcrafter you are, whether you're into the tactical stuff like I am, or the more traditional stuff. That is entirely up to you. Many ways to skin a cat, like I mentioned. And there you have it then. This the 10 C's of survivability. Like I mentioned before, it's what's entirely up to you what you carry, what you've got available, what you can and can't get, and what you're confident in using or not. Like I mentioned, like combustion devices, for example, I always carry my ferro rod, but it's not what I always go for first. Lighter first time every time for me. It's easy and it's quick. If I know I'm going to be able to light something, I will light it with a ferro rod just to keep me skills up. Or if I want to practice some primitive fire, I'll use my flint and steel. What you now need to consider as well is what you are going to take. What I've presented in front of you are variations what I use. I don't necessarily use them all at the same time, but I will use one or two, maybe three of them. Cutting tools, for example, saw, knife, axe, or the Grayzy Mark 1, the saw, and then my cold steel. It all depends where I am, all depends what I'm doing, and what kind of challenge I've been given, or what kind of challenge I give myself, or if I just fancy going out anyway. Bushcraft can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. Like myself, I make a lot of my own stuff. Check out people like Sean Kelly from Corpus Corner, Dave Canterbury, Josh Enyart, the Grey Bearded Green Beret, TA Outdoors, Ken Survival. They're just a few of them I get inspiration from. I make most of my stuff, and I'm going to be showing you how to make them in later videos, but because we've just been put into lockdown, Boris has said that we can't play anymore. I'm going to be pushing them out because I've got nothing to do because I've got to work from home. I hope that's been educational for you. I hope I can inspire you some information to spark off in your head to be able to do stuff like that yourself. If you've got any questions, please get in touch with us via Instagram, the comments on YouTube or Facebook, Northern Limits Bushcraft and Survival, or on Instagram, Northern Limits BCS. Get on there, let us know how I've done, let us know what you think. Until then, stay safe, get out as much as you can before the lockdown. It is now Monday, we go to lockdown Thursday. Get out as much as you can before that, look after your mental health. See you next time.